course, according to the history, he came to figure out that the problem she had was she is lacking calcium in the system. And they couldn't figure it out back in those days. And he was able to treat her and get her back to her normal situation. And after that, the father gave her to the doctor to marry her because of the career that he had. Now, our imams encourage us to be involved in many fields. Rasulullah involved in many riding horses. It's one of the category Islam teaches to learn. Right? Now, archery is another one. Islam emphasized in these careers. And today we can see how we need these careers in many fields. Islam is not restricted in Quran and Hadith and Aqa'id only. We need architects. We need doctors. We need surgeons. We need all the fields. And this is one of the first steps the Idara is trying to promote so that we can help one another to grow in any field that you're willing to do. Because serving Islam is not just on the member, brothers and sisters. Serving Islam can be in your office. You can call people to Islam, not an Idara, also in your office, with your akhlaq and what you do. And we hope, inshallah, this career is not just for making money. It's also to think about this career can be a tool to invite others to Islam, which is our responsibility. May the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to do so, Ya Rabbal Alameen. I hope all of you at this place, at this point, you will find something educational that can be an eye-opener and help you to continue in that way that you're planning to pursue. May the Almighty Allah help all those who make this possible for all of us, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help all of those who volunteer to come and share their knowledge with us, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help every one of us, inshallah. Bin Nabi wa Ali Muhammad, sallu ala Muhammadin wa Ali Muhammad.
Thank you, Sheikh. Following Sheikh's opening words, I'd like to invite one of the organizers for today's event, Brother Faizan Naqvi, to give a presentation on the various perspectives of the career world. Please welcome him with a loud salawat.
Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. All right, well, thank you so much everyone for joining today, and inshallah you'll find it helpful to hear from so many professionals from the community. I just wanted to take a little bit of your time to offer a different perspective on careers. And so the agenda for the next slide please. The agenda for today is we are going to talk about careers from society's perspective. Sorry about that. Okay. So we'll be talking about careers from society's perspective, and I'll introduce myself. We'll have a short trivia, some images and videos to lighten up the presentation, and then we'll have some reflection time, and we'll revisit the society's perspective, and we'll talk about Islam's perspective and role models for the entire humanity, and we'll also talk about the importance of shifting our perspective. And towards the very end, we'll give you a roadmap. All right, so let me ask you guys, when you hear about career, and you can raise your hand, feel free. And I don't want it to be a formal presentation, so please interrupt me, even though we do have, we are short on time. We started a little late, but feel free to interrupt and ask any questions. So what is a career? When someone asks you about career, what comes to your mind? Anyone? Yes. Sorry, say that again, a little louder. Sorry, are encouraged to choose careers that promote stability, status, and high salary, regardless of our passion. We just want to focus on those things. And it can lead to unfulfilling jobs. We may, as Brother Mustafa said, we may end up doing a job we're not about. We are just doing it because it's paying our bills. So we want, but that's how society trains us. So is it possible that society's perspective is against the law of nature? Well, let's examine that from the lens of the universe, inshallah. All right. All right. My name is Faizan. Many of you may know me. I am part of the Idara community for 9 years. I did my bachelor's from NJIT in New Jersey, and I did my master's from systems engineering. Master's as a systems engineer, and alhamdulillah, I am blessed to be part of a mission operations team that's operating Hubble Space Telescope. So it has, as you have made a lot of amazing discoveries, and the most groundbreaking discoveries in astronomy and cosmology. For example, it has provided us evidence for the existence of the dark matter and dark energy. It has helped us to measure the age of the universe and help us discover the accelerating expansion of the universe. So let's take a, before I move on, I feel like we don't know enough, or at least I didn't know enough when I started working for Hubble. So I just asked a few trivia questions, and please feel free to raise your hands and speak up if you know the answers. All right, so next slide, please. So the first question, what year was the Hubble Space Telescope launched? Yes? Is it 2006? No, a little earlier than that. All right, anyone? Yes? 1991. Close. Yes. No, launched on April 24, 1990. All right, next question. How long is the Hubble Space Telescope? Like physically, how long it is? Does anyone know? Yes. Oh, you. Okay. It's I was going to say it's a little more than the size of a school bus. Just to put things into perspective. And how long does it take for the Hubble Space Telescope to orbit the Earth? Yes. Nope. Way faster than that. Almost 97 minutes to be exact. All right. So, okay, I found this very interesting. If you were to use HST or Hubble Space Telescope to go from New York to San Francisco or the other way, how long do you think you will be to your destination? You will be at your destination. Yes. 15 minutes. Ooh, very close. Yes. 10 minutes actually. Yeah. So it's going that fast, but the amazing part, the engineering is so amazing that it's still able to take very, very good pictures, and I'll go over some of them right now. So if you go to the next slide, so I just picked out a few just to show you guys what Hubble has been doing. So this is a picture which is named as Cosmic Reef. It's for NGC 2014, like a galaxy, and it's basically resembles part of a coral reef floating in a vast sea of stars. All right, so you can go on the next one. So these are called pillars of creation, where basically these pillars, stars are being born in this pillar. And I don't know if oh yeah, it's like 6,500 light. Yes, Yusha. Exactly. Thank you. So these are, next slide. And so this is called a bubble nebula, which is 7 light years across. So if you were standing 7 light years for your light to reach the other end. So, and the next one, we can go. Google is full of them. Internet is full of these pictures, so you guys can just go over them. The previous one. I just wanted to. Oh, okay. So there was another one which showed the galaxy, showed a galaxy. Anyway, so this is my all-time favorite, and this is called Hubble. And when you see this picture, what do you guys see essentially? Yes, Mustafa. Okay. If you were to count them, how many do you think there are in this particular picture? If you haven't read the caption, then yeah, and you can answer. Yes. Yes, Mustafa. Essentially, one dot is a galaxy in this particular picture. And there are in total 10,000 galaxies. I have included a video, hopefully we can play it, that actually goes over that in much better way than I would do. Because it's not YouTube. Yeah. So go on YouTube. Hubble Sorry. Oh, okay. So yeah, we can play it.
Astronomers in 1996 attempted to do something extraordinary. They pointed the Hubble Space Telescope into a part of the sky that seemed utterly empty, a patch devoid of any planets, stars, and galaxies. This area was close to the Big Dipper.
We are going to speed it up a little. It's a little slow.
A grain of sand held out at arm's length. This was a somewhat risky move by the scientists. After all, observing time on this telescope is in very high demand, and some questioned whether it would be wasted trying to look at nothing. There was a real risk that the images returned would be as black as the space at which it was being pointed. Nevertheless, they opened the telescope, and slowly, over the course of 10 full days, photons that had been traveling for over 13 billion years finally ended their journey on the detector of humanity's most powerful telescope. Their feeble signals collected almost one by one. When the telescope was finally closed and the images were processed, the light from over 3,000 galaxies had covered the detector, producing one of the most profound and humbling images in all of human history. Every single spot, smear, and dot was an entire galaxy, and each one containing hundreds of billions of stars. Later, in 2004, they did it again, this time pointing the telescope towards an area near the constellation Orion. They opened the shutter for over 11 days and 400 complete orbits around the Earth. Using detectors with increased sensitivity and filters that allowed more light through than ever before, over 10,000 galaxies appeared in what became known as the ultra-deep field, an image that represented the farthest we've ever seen into the universe. The photons from these galaxies left when the universe was only 500 million years old, and 13 billion years later, they end their long journey as a small blip on a telescope CCD. These galaxies, while standing absolutely still, are racing away from us, in some cases, faster than the speed of light. The space-time between us and everything else grows larger by the minute, pushing the galaxies in this image to a distance of over 47 billion light years. And because of universal expansion, the farther it is away from us, the more its light is shifting toward the red, and the faster it appears to be moving. Edwin Hubble himself discovered this by measuring the redshift of many galaxies, and it's a measure of not only speed, but distance as well. Recently, Hubble scientists put the icing on the cake. Using the measured redshifts of all the galaxies inside the image, they made a 3D model of the ultra-deep field. This is how it looks when we apply the distances of the galaxies in the most important image ever taken. There are over 100 billion galaxies in the universe. Simply saying that number doesn't really mean much to us because it doesn't provide any context. Our brains have no way to accurately put that in any meaningful perspective. When we look at this image, however, and think about the context of how it was made, and really understand what it means, we instantly gain the perspective and cannot help be ever changed by it. We pointed the most powerful telescope ever built by human beings at absolutely nothing, for no other reason than because we were curious, and discovered that we occupy a very tiny place in
Thank you. So yeah, next slide, please. So while we are going to the next slide, let's just take a moment, right, and think about it. Just reflect on our lives and think about the vastness of the universe, right? It's very easy to get caught up in our own world, thinking that everything revolves around us. But when we consider the sheer size and complexity of the universe, we realize that how small and insignificant we truly are. So despite this though, we can take comfort that in the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making everything work out for us so beautifully, even when we don't realize it. It's easy to take things for granted when we don't see the bigger picture, but reflecting on the vastness of the universe can help us gain perspective and appreciation of the blessings in our lives. Right, so let's revisit the society's perspective, right? From the first slide, if you can go to the next slide, please. From the first slide, I had society teaches us to prioritize individual success and financial gain in our careers. So, looking at life from a purely selfish perspective can lead to negative traits such as jealousy, hatred, and greed. And when we are solely focused on our own wants and needs, we can become blind to the perspectives and experiences of others. We start instead of potential collaborators, leading to feelings of resentment and mistrust. And unfortunately, it's very common in Muslim society, unfortunately. And in reality, though, if we were to take a step back and view ourselves from an outsider's or the universe perspective, we would see that we are all just human beings with the same basic needs and desires. For example, just think of an alien sitting on Mars right now, right, and seeing the Earth using a telescope, if they need it, and they will be like, oh, these are all humans. They won't distinguish us as Americans, Pakistani, Indians, right? So we are all one human race. And if we focus on our society as a human society, we can take it to higher levels. But unfortunately we don't, and as a result we are still struggling with our petty issues. So reflecting on this can help us develop empathy and understanding for others and shift our focus from ourselves to the larger community. I was looking at the astronauts who have served outside in space, and one of the astronauts said that when you see Earth, it's like a very fragile planet, and we need to increase efforts to save it. And that can only happen when we stop fighting each other and we focus on bigger issues. So on the next slide, I talk about Islam's perspective. And as we know, Holy Quran emphasizes a lot on helping others and working for the common good. And hence, we have an emphasis on hukukul ibad. When we realize that our purpose is bigger than what society wants us to think, we can work towards the common good and elevate humanity to higher levels. There are a couple of sayings that I found from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. They are attributed to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. The first one was, the best occupation is that which is beneficial to others. And that, as you know, emphasizes the importance of pursuing careers that have positive So Islam encourages us to seek careers that allow us to serve humanity and make positive impact in the world. So rather than focusing on financial gain or personal success, uh, perhaps we should prioritize the betterment of society as a whole. And by working towards the common good, we can inshallah fulfill our purpose and earn the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And through this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ensure our success. So, and alhamdulillah, we are the followers of Ahlul Bayt, and we have our role models are the Ahlul Bayt, right? So, Imam Masumi Islam, they are not not just our role models, they are role models for humanity. It's just that people don't know about them. For example, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam served Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. He prioritized the well-being. Okay, this one is fine. Sorry, I didn't see. Yeah. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam prioritized the well-being of others and worked towards society's betterment. Imam Hussain al-Islam, as we know, he sacrificed everything that he had for the betterment or the reformation of his grandfather's nation, and their actions inspires us to work towards a better future for ourselves and for the entire human race. The next one, please. Alright, so let's just think about careers from a communal perspective. Right now that we have established that we should be focusing on humans or our community in general rather than ourselves. If we just focus, if we just shift our focus from me to us when thinking about careers, that can definitely help us go in that direction that can ensure success of the community as a whole.
Sister Amina Hassan is a recent graduate of Cornell University and a new professional. Sister Anam Zahra is an incoming medical student at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. Brother Ali Asghar is a freshman at Johns Hopkins University. And Dr. Hal Naqvi is a sophomore at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Today's panelists are going to be taking audience questions about college life and learning to explore the young professional world as college students. Salam panel, thank you so much for joining us. Inshallah, we can start taking questions from the audience if you guys are all ready. Does anyone from the audience have a question?
It's a chance to kind of talk to people. You don't have to take that leadership position right away, but I think building awareness is the most important thing you can do as a Muslim on campus.
Sorry. Hi guys, assalamu alaikum. I didn't live on campus, I commuted, but one thing I wanted to say about having a Muslim roommate, I think it's super important because I've heard stories of, my friends living with non-Muslims, and it's just, I think it makes it easier, especially if you're starting college, so to not have to worry about alcohol in your house or, halal and haram food. So I think having a Muslim roommate definitely does make a difference. And then about building your identity as a Shia, it can be hard. When I started first at UMBC, it was a little hard when I would pray with people with my hands down or pray on a sajdaga. But I think Nihal can talk more about it. But ALPSA, Alabad Student Association, is an organization that is basically like an MSA for Shias. And if you don't have one at your campus, you can think about starting one. And I think ever since we started an ALPSA at UMBC, it has helped us be more comfortable in our identities and educate people about Shiism.
Definitely. Assalamu alaikum once again. To branch off of both Amina and Anum's points, firstly, yes, there is a national network of chapters on campuses across the United States in which, known as the Ahlul Bayt